Dewy pines. Let me tell you their story. 7 months ago, I won my first ever online giveaway, and it was for these guys, Drosophyllum Lusitanicum, otherwise known as dewy pines. I have never grown these guys before, so this is the first time that I've ever grown them with you guys. And let me tell you a little bit more about their backstory. As I said, I had never grown these guys before, so I had to figure out what soil they liked and what type of pots they liked. Now, I bought a colony pot. If you've been following our channel, you would know about our colony pots. What these colony pots are basically a pot that is big enough to have a whole colony of one specific species of plants, and so far we have 2. And we will be making our 3rd one today, so make sure that you watch the rest of this video. Now, in learning about these guys' care, I found out their soil requirements being pretty sandy and very dry, which is not normal, compared to other carnivorous plants. And I found out that they like terracotta pots. They like these things. I hate terracotta pots, in case you guys didn't know that, for many reasons, which I'm not going to tell you why, but I ended up buying the terracotta pots. Firstly, I bought the colony pot, and I figured, you know what, if it's going to be my first time growing them, I should get them the terracotta pot. Then after getting the terracotta pot, I remembered, well, there's 10 seeds. We need to have them growing separately because root disturbances are fatal to these guys, which we actually found out, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on in this video. But we ended up with 3 healthy plants, as you can see right here, and we grew them in peat pots. So we could just put this peat pot inside the terracotta pot without having to take them out of the pot. So let me tell you a little bit more about how we actually got to only having 3 when we were given 10 seeds. So as I said, we started off with 10 seeds, and that's why we have 10 pots on the table. Now, as I said earlier, we started off with actually circumcising at least 4 of our plants to really test whether or not circumcising them would actually result in them germinating better. And because our seeds were so fresh, there was actually no difference. We had 7 out of the 10 seeds germinate for us. So obviously these 3 did not germinate. But the reason that they didn't germinate isn't simply because they were bad seeds or something. It was because they got washed away in the heavy rains that we had. That left us with these 7 plants. Now, all of these guys were growing super well, but if you guys remember what I said, you have to make sure that you don't water these guys too much and you don't water them too little. And unfortunately, that is exactly what happened to these 2 plants over here. They were growing super well. They were very happy, but unfortunately, they got a little bit too hot one day and I wasn't able to water them in time, and they ended up dying. So we were left with 5 plants. And now this is the thing. We had these 5 plants. They were super happy. They were super strong. They were growing extremely well. These 2 here were actually the biggest Drosophyllums that we had. They were the first ones to germinate as well. But once again, issues arose, if you couldn't tell. This guy, who was our #1 top grower, what happened to him is that when I was watering my plants, the water coming out of the watering jug sprayed all over the soil and uprooted the plant. And as you know, touching their roots is fatal for the plants. And unfortunately for this guy, about 3 months ago, if you remember, we had very heavy rains, and that heavy rain washed this guy away. You can't even see the remains of this guy in the pot. And that's how we ended up with only 3. But that doesn't take away from the fact that these guys are very healthy and very happy, and the fact that we need to repot them because some of their roots are actually hanging out the bottom. So let's repot them into their own colony pot. I'm actually very stuck right now. This soil that we made was specifically tailored to being inside of the plastic pot. The reason why I say that is because I made sure that there was less peat than what there should be, so that it would hold less water because it couldn't evaporate through the terracotta pot. Now obviously I've been using that same soil because I wasn't going to remix all of that stuff all over again. But seeing as we have a terracotta pot, we need to go back to the old soil mix. So I have to somehow figure out how to turn the soil that we do have back into what it should be, all while using the same old soil and using some extra soil that I have outside, which I don't want to go to waste. So I need to do some mathematics here. Okay guys, I figured it out. I did some mathematics and it will work. The sand that I have outside, if I mix it with this sand, everything will be pretty much the perfect ratios. Let's go mix. And I'm back. As you can see, the pot is full with the soil that we need. And now I'm going to pour it all out and then mix it all together. I hope you find this pretty satisfying. I do sometimes. The soil is all mixed up and it is ready for us to put the plants in, but we first have to fill up this massive thing with all the soil. We used so much damn soil to fill up this terracotta pot. It's actually insane. Like, I can't believe it. This is probably the boring part, but I'm going to tell you guys a story of how I actually got into these carnivorous plants, because I was told today that it's quite an interesting story. So I guess I'll tell you guys all about it. Just to let you know, I'm plugging up this hole here at the bottom with sphagnum moss so that none of the soil falls through. Obviously this is a very sandy mix, so the soil will fall through very easily if you don't plug it up. So they were asking me, you know, what about them? Like, how did you know about them? How did you find them so interesting? Like, what came to make you like these plants so much? And it all started back when I was a kid, like it does for most of us. I was in what, grade 6? I don't know what, if you're American, I don't know what grade 6 is in America, but it's when you're 12 years old. And I had a teacher who taught us technology. And what technology class was basically a fun time, if I can explain it as anything else. All we did in technology, we would just go to class, watch movies on his projector because like he didn't do anything else, or we would draw like some little technical drawings, you know, like on those square papers you would draw like triangles or 3D triangles and stuff like that. It was a pretty chill class, you know. Everyone did well, everyone looked forward to it as well. But the one day we come to class and he says, class, next week I have an assignment for you. You need to bring plants like succulents and plants that can be propagated like that. And I was like, I mean, 12-year-old kid. Most of the kids that are 12 years old, we hate plants, you know, like plants, I want to play video games, I want to play sports or something like that. Give me a second because I need to think, I need to concentrate to plug this hole here. So most of us kids, we hate plants, you know. Very few kids that are 12 years old like plants or enjoy them or actually care about them at all. We were all kind of like, okay, whatever, this is boring, but we'll do it anyway because it's for marks. You know how it goes. So the next week arrives, we've all brought in a little pot of something. I brought in like this weird ass succulent like South African native succulent thing that was growing in my garden. And in this class, there was this girl. She brought a Venus flytrap to class. And it was on the teacher's desk. You know, everything on the teacher's desk is like it's sacred. You can't touch it. Don't even look at it type of thing. Sorry, I'm plugging the hole again. What do you guys think? I think that's pretty good. This is the water tray that will be in. This is a mushroom tray. It works so well, fits perfect. So we all go to class and this Venus flytrap is on the table. No one really knows it's there, no one really looks at it. Except for the one naughty kid in class. And essentially, what our teacher wanted us to do was to bring in all these plants so that he could cultivate them for himself. We would come to class, learn how to propagate plants. We would cut them and put them in pots and then watch them grow or whatever, but he would just take cuttings of everyone's plants and take them home with him. You know, like a criminal, you know, pirating all these plants from kids and giving us marks for it. Like, come on. So that was his whole plan. And eventually, like his classroom was on a patio and he got to school to get like big concrete planters and he filled them up with soil and he put everyone's plants there. So he had like his whole Garden of Eden right outside his class and he was so happy with it, you know, tricking us little kids. We didn't know what he was really doing. We were kids. But yeah, he got away with like taking all of our plants. But anyway, this naughty kid in the class, he goes to the teacher's desk and he grabs the Venus flytrap and he absolutely goes to town with this thing with some scissors. And I'm talking like he unpots the entire plant and he just he cuts it up into pieces because, you know, like a succulent, you can cut into many pieces and put it in the ground and it grows. And that's what our teacher told us to do. Cut it up into pieces and put in some soil and you'll get all these nice plants, whatever. We all went around taking people's plants, but he took the Venus flytrap off of the teacher's desk and he destroyed it. It was in pieces. So he put it into soil, the wrong soil obviously, not that it makes much of a difference at that point. And the teacher absolutely loses his mind at this stupidity of this kid. He says to him, "What are you doing? This plant depends on every single one of those little traps for its survival, and you've just killed this plant." And the whole class was quiet, you know, we're all staring at him. You know, what happened here? You know, I remember I look around to my left and he's shouting at him over there and I'm just like, okay. He gets this big shouting at, I think he nearly cried actually. I know the type of person he is and I'm pretty sure that he nearly cried, but it ended up with him apologizing and the girls whose plant it was pretty sad about it as well. But that's when I learned about the Venus flytrap. That was the first time I ever seen one in person. The first time I've ever been introduced to it and learned that they close and whatever. And I was really interested in them. So I was like, boy, I want to get one of these things. Fast forward like another 3 or 4 months, my little succulent plant is dying outside or whatever because I didn't care about it. And I went grocery shopping with my family. And at the grocery store, just like with many of us, I saw a Venus flytrap. I was like, you know what? Please can I get this plant? My family, we don't own a lot of money. We don't have a lot of money at all. And this plant was like $8. $8 Australian dollars, which is like $7 US. I mean, it was cheap. But even then, it was a lot of money for us. So I was like, please can I get this plant? I really want this plant so bad. I want to look after it. I'll do whatever I need to look after it. I got it and it died. Like most of us who get our first Venus flytrap. We end up killing it, unfortunately. And then, fast forward a couple more months, went to a nursery this time because my dad wanted to plant spinach in his garden. Well, he didn't have a garden, I don't even know what he was thinking. He wanted to grow his own fruits and vegetables in the garden so he wouldn't have to go to the shops, but what an idiot. We went to the nursery and I saw another one there and I was like, please can I get this plant? I will do anything I need to look after it. Got it. And I killed it because I kept it inside, I was giving it the wrong water, all those things, and obviously I had to go to my dad once every second weekend, so I only got to see the plants like for 2 days every 14 days. And he wasn't looking after that thing. I mean, it's a little plant thing. He didn't care. So yeah, that one ended up dying very quickly as well. And then I found another one, but this time I didn't buy it. I actually saw the tag at the back. and it had a website address. And that's when everything changed. I went onto this website at school because my family didn't have internet, and I was at school and I'd go on the internet and I'd check the website, and that's when I found out about all of the different types of carnivorous plants, and my little kid mind was absolutely blown. Like, there isn't only Venus flytraps, there's something called sundews, sarracenias, pitcher plants. Boy, my mind was blown. So I ended up going to a different nursery, a much bigger nursery, and obviously at this point I had done some research. My research consisted of me finding care guides online and printing them so I could read them as a little kid, you know, as you do, because as I said, I didn't have internet at home, so I had to print it at school. That's what I did. I took those papers home. I might have them. No, I actually think I threw them away because I don't need them anymore. And I read up on those plants. I read up on every single website that you could find on carnivorous plants, every single YouTube video at the time of carnivorous plants. I had watched every single one. There was not one YouTube video that I had not seen if it was about carnivorous plants. There was not one website on the internet which I had not seen which was not about carnivorous plants. I knew as much as any 12-year-old could, you know, obviously not the research books and that stuff. I didn't even know about research papers back then. And I ended up getting another 2 plants, Drosera spatulata and Drosera venata, and I looked after those bad boys really, really well. And that's kind of where it all started. Had those guys, then I got another Venus flytrap. I had that Venus flytrap until I left South Africa, what, a year ago now. That's how I got into carnivorous plants. We still need to pot up our Drosophyllums, another plant which blew my mind as a kid, because they smell like honey. And I can promise you right now, they smell like honey, like raw honey straight from the bee's ass. This stuff smells so strongly of honey. You're just sitting in the kitchen and you can smell it. It's insane. I will continue potting up this pot, filling it up. I'm only halfway, so I'll bring you guys back when I'm close enough to actually put these pots into the pots. I'm basically at the point where I need to put these plants in because their pots are going to reach into the soil here, and I'm not really sure what to do. I'm not sure if I should cut the bottom open so their roots can get through. I'm not sure if I should just leave it completely because I don't want to disturb their roots, but I will actually trim up all the old leaves. I'll take you guys with me for that, and then we can look at their roots and figure out what we should do, because honestly I don't know what to do. If I touch their roots, they die. As you guys know, we lost quite a few plants because of that, so let's take them out and take a look. Okay, so I just got the camera around and check out their roots. Bruh, you cannot see anything there. You guys can barely see it. There are these little black things that's sticking out the bottom. They are roots. I promise you they're there. Let me just turn the camera around. I promise you their roots are there. You just can barely see it, but I will trim them up like really, really quickly, and then we can take a look at their roots properly. And trimming these guys up is very easy. I'll just show you how to do it. Obviously, just get the old leaves and just cut them off at the base. And then when they're all done, pull them out. So let me just, man, even these old ones are sticky. Look at that. Let me just finish these guys up real quick, and then I'll show you their roots. And here they are afterwards. This is all that came off of them. Quite a bit of old hairs. And now it is time to put them into the pots. Here is how it goes. You take your peat pot, your jiffy pot, whatever pot it is that you have, and you put the plant in. Obviously, I'm going to try to push this up a little bit more against the wall so we have more space for the other 2 here. And then you just cover this pot up and you make sure that you have a good soil height. And that is literally it. So I'm just going to do that all right now. And there we go. Now you just need to fill up the gaps all around it. And that is it, guys. Now I'm going to put the other 2 over here, fill up all the space, and then I'll bring you back when that's done. Obviously, I don't think that I'm going to be cutting out the bottoms because I checked all of the bottoms and the roots are going into the actual pot itself. The roots are going through the pots. So if we tear the pots open, we're going to be tearing their roots and that will kill them. Let us now cover these pots up, get this thing finished, and I'm going to show you the end product. our pot is now finished. We have a fly that is busy walking on the soil. He looks very, very sick. That is it. That is our plant done. This has been about 7 or 8 months now, and this is our colony pot for these guys, and I hope that they get nice and big. So if you enjoyed the video, please remember to leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.